Boker Tov. Today's daf is Daf Ayin things to as we learned for Shlema for Elazar ben Ruma and Yosef Shmuel ben Chaim Michal and okay. We're down to the two dots about 15, 17 lines down on the page. What was machlokes yesterday? We had in our Mishnah when we talked about if a man makes a net, forswears his wife from having enough from him in the manners that we described, how it was chal. That was the one issue. Once he understood that was chal, the question is, did he give it? They say it's for 30 up until 30 days. He should keep her as a wife. Afterwards, he has to give her a get and a ksuba because it's no longer tolerable. So until 30 days, he could set up a parnes, a trustee to support her and the extra things that she needs. So the point over here is question is, did he originally say 30 days or did he not say 30 days? Rav said it's only if he originally said 30 days, but if he said it's stam, meaning it was indefinite, then he has to give her get right away. Shmuel says, no, if he was stam also, we wait for 30 days. So now we're going to ask a kasha on Shmuel from the second case in the Mishnah, where as we see, where he made a net, or we'll say a netter was made, because it's not clear yet from the Mishnah, you just read it as he made a netter, but he forswore her from having enough from, let's say, a certain cut from apples, let's say. So if there was a netter upon her that she can't eat one pairs, let's say apples, Yotzi has to give her ksuba right away. So Bishlam al Rav, without 30 days. I understand the difference between the first case and the second case. The first case, he said 30 days. He said 30 days, fine, it's tolerable. If he said it indefinitely, like the case of the apples where apparently it was indefinite, then you can't tolerate it at all. You don't give him 30 days because that's it. It's over. You don't allow that. So according to Rav, I can see the difference in two cases. Shmuel kasha. According to Shmuel, there's a kasha because what's the difference in the first and second case? Why in the first case do you allow 30 days? And it's up until 30 days he can maintain her, and you could say that okay, up until 30 days you can last, right? And if the netter's only for 30 days, maybe you'll find a Pesach during that time. Maybe you'll annul the netter during that period of time. Fine. That's if according to Rav, that's good. The first case is 30 days, second case is nothing. But according to Shmuel, that you didn't mention the amount of time at all. So why in the first case do you allow 30 days, and in the second case you don't allow it at all? So like we explained when we learned the Mishnah, the second and third cases where she forbade, let's say, apples, and in the third case where she forbade herself any adornment, any beautification, in those cases she made the netter and he was makayim it. He confirmed it. Except Rav Meir, who knows in etzba ben shina. We're assuming now, our Mishnah didn't say Divrei Meir, it said Rav Yehuda Omer. Usually in the machlokas with Yehuda and another Tana, Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda were colleagues, and they were usually bare plukta achad ne'asheni. They were usually the ones who argued with one another. So we assume it's Rav Meir, and Rav Meir holds that when he confirms it, whose fault is it? That's the issue. Somebody makes an netter, they shouldn't make an netter, right? The Torah says don't make a netter, and if you make a netter, be makayim, but you shouldn't make a darm. But if you made it as kind of let's call it an abusive netter, which is going to affect their marriage in some manner, and then he confirms it. So if he made the netter, he's the bad guy, right? He's the bad guy, and he has to give her a ksuba. If she's the bad guy here because she made the netter, right? So why should he give her a ksuba? It's her fault, as we're going to see in tomorrow's daf. That if she was a rebellious woman, right? She was a rebellious woman that she didn't fulfill her obligations in the marriage. She's divorced without a get. So if she made the netter over here, whose fault is it? Right? So she made the netter and he confirmed it. Okay, when he confirmed it now you got two parties. She made the netter, but he confirmed it. So here's the Rav Meir says, who knows? And that's when when he confirmed it, he's effectively, as we're going to see on the days, it's worse than if he made a netter. Because if he made a netter and forbade her from something, in a fit of anger, he got upset. So he made a netter and then he regretted it later on. But if she made the netter and then he calmly confirmed it, he wasn't upset, he wasn't angry, right? He just confirmed it. That's even worse because then she says, boy, he doesn't even care. He really hates me. So here the question is when she made the netter, he confirmed it, and Rav Meir holds, who knows? He's the one who put his finger in her mouth, meaning he's the one who caused her. He caused the netter, and therefore he has to divorce her and give her the get right away. So that's when we see in the first case, the second case, according to Shmuel, that we go like that. In the first case, he made a netter. We give him 30 days. Maybe he'll find a vessel. But in the second case, she made the netter, and that's worse. So it's more of a Rav Meir. Now the netter she makes
any pears?
She makes a, no, apples, apples and oranges. I'm not eating apples. Right, nothing to do with him. She made it out that all apples are usher to me. All apples are usher to me. We'll talk about that. So how does a netter like that, how does he have the right to break that netter? That's a different issue. But first we're going to establish, we're assuming it's Rav Meir now who's saying that in the Mishnah. So Gemara says, except Rav Meir who knows in that Mishnah, is Rav Meir really holds that it's his fault? In other words, when he confirms her abusive netter, is it his fault or her fault? So Rav Meir holds it's his fault. That's why he has to divorce and give it again. This is more of Rav Meir knows in that Mishnah. By the time we learn, let's say a woman became a Nazarite. She made a Nazar. And the husband's not happy with that. She's not going to not going to put any wine anymore on the table, and she's going to, do all the things that Nazars do. She can't be Tamei Mace, and she's going to have her hair grow wild. So he should not Nazar. If he didn't break it, it was her fault. She made the net. If the husband wants he can break the net if he wants. He can break something. If he says, no, I don't want a woman who's making a dharma. I don't want to marry son. I don't want to be married. Takes a shlo because it's her fault. So you see, Rav Meir holds when she makes an etter, even if he confirmed it, he could say, I don't want an etter. Like if he wants to break it, he can break it. But if he says, no, I don't care. I don't want to. I'm going to divorce her without a ksuba, but by him confirming it. In other words, by him not saying anything for 24 hours, it's also like he confirmed it. So you see, Rav Meir holds that she is the one who caused the problem. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Lezer, Omer, who knows in Etzvah Shem? Rabbi Yosef and Lezer, they hold that he's the one who caused the problem. But according to Meir, she caused the problem. Lefichim Ratza, according to Rabbi Yosef and Lezer, since he's the one who caused it, Ratza Bal Lefer Yefer V'Im Amar Ef Shivisha. So I don't want a woman like that who's making a dar, becoming himself a Nazar all the time. Yotzving Suba because it's his fault. He could have just broken the netter. What's your problem? You're upset with him, so break the netter. You're upset with her making the net, break the netter. Since he confirmed it, he's effectively the cause of the problem, and therefore he has to give the ksuba. But according to Meir, he doesn't have to give the ksuba there because it's her fault. So you see where Meir holds that it's her fault, not his fault. More turn around that bride about the Nazir. Meir Rabbi Yehuda, Omer, who knows? Say Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda are the ones who say who knows. And don't say that it's Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Lezer says nothing. Say Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda say who knows, and it's his fault. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Lezer, Omrim, he knows. It's her fault. Turn around that way. But then you have another problem because now once you say Rav Meir holds who knows, so you're saying Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda hold it's his fault, and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Lezer hold it's her fault. So Rabbi Yossi Nesna, did you say Rabbi Yossi holds when he confirms her netter? Are you saying that Rabbi Yossi holds that it's her fault? But our mission says otherwise. The last case in the mission was where she made a netter that she's not going to adorn herself with anything, right? So Rabbi Yossi said, by a poor girl, if she gave a time up until we'll see what that time is, let's say it's a year or 10 years, whatever the time is, then it's okay. But if it was indefinite, then he has to divorce her and give her a get. And somehow she made the netter and he confirmed it. Well, if he confirmed her netter, whose fault is it, his or hers? If you say, like in our Mishnah, that you have to divorce her and give her a get, not divorce her. I'd say I'm saying the same thing. He's giving her a get and giving the ksuba, so it's his fault. So how can you say Rabbi Yossi holds it's her fault? But so Rabbi Yossi, he knows about Rabbi Yossi on Beni Yishmael and Kitzpah. In that case, he has to get and pay her. So Aimer, no, we'll switch on. Rav Meir and Rabbi Yossi at this point. Rav Meir and Rabbi Yossi say, Omrim hu nosen, that's his fault. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Lezer, he nosen. That's still a problem because Rabbi Yehuda also is mentioned in our Mishnah as saying that under circumstances it's his fault and he has to give her the ksuba. So Rabbi Yehuda, he nosen. You think now Rabbi Yehuda holds. You're saying that Rav Meir and Rabbi Yossi holds it's his fault, and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Lezer it's her fault. So Rabbi Yehuda, he nosen. Rabbi Yehuda holds it's her fault. But again, our same Mishnah. The second case, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Yisrael Yom Echad Yikayim, right? In the case where she forbade the apples on herself, Rabbi Yehuda says, by Yisrael, one day. Afterwards, if it's more than a day, you have the way Shmuel learns, even if it wasn't mentioned at the time, more than a day, he has to give her a get and give her the ksuba. So Rabbi Yehuda holds when he confirms her neder, it's his fault. So now we have Rav Meir, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yehuda all saying that it's his fault. So Ema change it around and say the Brisa by Nazir says this: Rav Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi, the three people that we're saying now hold that it's his fault. Amram hu knows saying, and therefore he gives her the ksuba. Rabbi Lezer Amar he knows it's her fault and doesn't have to give ksuba. If you want to say, wait a minute, no, the brisa, you know what? All these cases is Ema, change the brisa. When we always that's just what do you mean? We mean that there's probably a mistake in the way the brisa was handed down. After all, the Torah, this Torah Shabbat Peh was given Baal Peh, it was oral, so we made a mistake. But if you have a Kabbalah, okay, maybe you switch around who said what. But if you know that two rabbis said one way and two rabbis said another way, it's not likely that the mistake was that, you know, one of the two went over to the side of the three and it's 3 against 1. If you have a Kabbalah that it's 2 and 2, Ema say this, Rav Meir and Rav Lazar, Omam Hinas, Rav Meir and Rav Lazar really hold that it's her fault, And that's what we mean over here. Who knows the best method? Wait a minute. Now Rav Meir is saying, Rav Meir and Rav Lazar, we've clearly proved from our Mishnah that the favorites, Rav Yossi and Rav Yehuda, from our Mishnah, Rav Yossi say that it's his fault. That's why he has to give the ksuba according to each of them in the different cases. But Rav Yossi and Rav Yehuda clearly say that it's his fault. Rav Meir, we're assuming Rav Meir is the Tanakama, also saying it's his fault. And now we're saying, but from Nazir we see that Rav Meir holds it's her fault. Rav Meir, Rav Lazar, he knows it's her fault. Rabbi Yossi, who knows him? Like we've proven. But Stam look Rav Meir, and you're right, the Stam's not Meir, even though normally the Stam Mishnah is Rav Meir. And a Stam Mishnah doesn't mean, as we say, that there's no author in the Mishnah at all. It just means that Shita that's brought down, the first Shita in the Mishnah, the one before Rabbi Yehuda, we assume it's Rav Meir, it's not Rav Meir, it's some Rav Meir. And now we have a different problem. Okay, so we've assumed now, we understand now what the issue is, that the Tanakam is not Rav Meir. Rav Meir really holds that it's her fault. If she makes an error, he confirms it. And Stam Mishnah is going like somebody else. Okay. The Savar Rabbi Yossi Banish Lonatz Kitzvah, that does really hold. What happened in the case? Let's examine the case itself. And now we understand Shmuel's opinion. We understand the 3 cases in the Mishnah. First case in the Mishnah, he made the netter. In the second 2 cases in the Mishnah, the last 2 cases in the Mishnah, she made the netter and he confirmed it. And we see the machlokas there. But Rabbi Yossi said that if she made it, the last case, she made a netter not to adorn herself. She's not, all the perfume is also to her. If she uses perfume, it's also to her, right? She can't, it's also, if she uses any perfume, it's also her netter. The perfume is also. So, and Rabbi Yossi says, well, if she didn't give a fixed amount of time, then he divorces her and he gives her a get right away. Because Rabbi Yossi holds it's his fault, fine. But how could he even break the netter? When you say it's his fault, what do you mean it's his fault? Because he confirmed the netter. He could have broken it, right? How can he break such a netter? Just because Alma Baal Matzi Mefer, you can break the netter for a minute. Elu Dvarm Shabal Mefer B'Adar. The pasuk says, when it talks about a husband breaking a netter, what does it say? La nos nafesh, right? Michael says La nos nafesh, something that afflicts her, something that makes her feel terrible, right? She suffers. El Dvarm Shabal Mefer. So Tanakama says Dvarm Sheish B'Midi Nefesh, things that afflict and come. Im Erchatz Im Lochitz. If I wash, the washing should be usher to me. Right, that's how he says it. If I wash it, also me, it's a netter. If she did it with a shvur, it says imlo erchetz. I swear I won't wash. That's a shvur. There's a shvur and a netter. We'll talk more about Nadar and Mitzvah next in Masechet. But if she makes a netter or a shvur like that, or if I adorn myself with perfume, the perfume should be usher to me, or I swear I won't perfume myself. That's what the Tanakhama says. That's a davar sheish b'yini nefesh. That's an example. El dvarim sheish shabal mefer, dvarim sheish b'yini nefesh. And you can list them. Amar Yossi, no. That's not, Rav says that's not eating nefesh. Ain't no living nefesh. That's not eating nefesh. You can live that way. Eila nidin nefesh. Shelo achol basar. Not going to eat any meat. I'm going to become a vegetarian. Over shlosh day, I'm not going to drink wine. In those days, that was pretty much all you had to eat was wine and meat, right? So that's like saying I'm going to starve myself. Or over shlosh gashi, the big dates on. Not that I'm not going to burn perfume, but I'm not going to adorn myself with colored clothes. Rashi explains that's disgusting. She makes herself repulsive when she only wears white, dirty clothes that are not colorful. A woman wants to wear nice clothing. So that's considered in the nefesh according to Rav Yossi. So therefore, when she just says, I'm not going to put on perfume in our Mishnah, that's not a netter sheish b'yini nefesh. How can he break that netter? So Gemara says, my skin b'dvarim shebein lebeina. We know what nedarim can a husband break? Either inu nefesh or things that affect their cohabitation, that affects bia. So Gemara says, that's fine if you say, okay, the husband can break a netter that affects their bia. For example, over here, if she's going to be filthy and disgusting and all that, it'll be difficult for them to live together. But one rule is that a husband cannot break the darim, even if it's something that affects their husband and wife living together. Michael and Maimer. What are you going to say? How are you going to explain that? Now here we're going to be very careful. We're going to be limiting. What does Dvarim Sheben al Beina mean? Rashi says over here it means she's not going to use a method, a chemical to remove unwanted hair. So if she doesn't remove unwanted hair, especially in the pubic area, it can lead to difficulty. So he says, the husband can break the Dharm because it affects their marriage, affects their intimacy. Husband can't break that. You never find that the fox dies in the dirt of his own hole. In other words, if a man is used to his wife, he knows how to get the. If her hair gets a little bit too long and entangled, that's not going to affect him. He knows how to get around that problem. So that kind of beina lebeina, he can't break a neder. So over here we're saying now that she can't break a neder. Inu nefesh is only if she's not going to eat, she's not going to put on nice clothing. That's going to really affect her stability, affect her psychology. But if just something that she's not going to do something else that's beino lebeina, like you talk about here, where she's not going to make herself, she's not going to wash, or she's not going to put on perfume, make herself nice in that way, the husband can't break the neder. So how b'chal can you break that neder? How does he have the right to break the neder? We're saying it's his fault because he didn't break the neder. He confirmed it. How can he break it anyway? This, that's what we said before. We said before, it's mashma that only the machlokas, whether you can only break inu nefesh or even beina lebeina. But the beina lebeina we said before is where she said she's not going to trim her hair. But over here, where she said like this, she said, if I adorn myself, then the hana of tashmish shamita is usher to me. I'm not allowed to have enough from tashmish shamita. Going to Lina Likitusha, we said that her adornment is dependent on tashmish shamita. The amra, yes or not tashmish chalai. If I adorn myself with perfume or make myself nice, then the tashmish is usher on me. She's obliged to him. She's obligated to him, right, to have intimacy. But if she made itself usher, remember we said she swears I'm not going to have beer with you. She can't do that. She's for the same thing. He can't swear. But if she made the no usher on her, so she's it's usher for her. So yes or no tashmish chalai imiskashet. And here Rashi says, let's just finish. Let's say she says, let's say she says to her husband, the hana of the tashmish, of my tashmish is usher on you. She doesn't have the ability to do that. She can't usher something on her. She's obligated to be intimate with him. So if she says, no, I'm ushering myself on you, the lashon is a little bit schwer. We force her to have bia with him. What do you mean force? You don't rape her. Doesn't mean that. Rav Chana has a discussion about this, but the pashut pshat I think is simply that it comes out that all the obligations of a husband to a wife and a wife to a husband are Bezdin explains to them that they have to do that. It's if you want to live as husband and wife, you have to live together. So because she has no power to answer herself upon him. But if she says, listen, it's us for me to have anah from this. She made such a neder yefer. He can break that now. You can't give something to somebody, can't give him food which he's not allowed to eat. So same thing over here. She's not allowed to have bia with him. She can't have anah from it. So therefore he can't have bia with him, and therefore he could divorce her without a ksuba. So that's what. And here Rashi says, this is witnessing Rashi. He doesn't mean to say that this is not beina lebeina. He says in a case like this, it's beina lebeina, right? It's beina lebeina, meaning if you can't have bia, that's already beina lebeina that everybody agrees. As we're going to see in the next mission, if she goes on strike and doesn't want to have bia with him, that's a reason for divorce without a ksuba. So same thing over here. If she can't have bia with him, she forbade herself from having bia with him. Even though we said, the Mandomer said before, a baal can only break things inu nefesh and not beina lebeina, but this is more than beina lebeina. This is simply they're not living as husband and wife. As we'll see in a minute, we'll point out that Rashi. So here, that's what it's speaking about over here. The question was, how do Rav Yossi say that he can break this neder? And if he didn't break the neder, it's his fault. How can he break the neder b'chlal? The answer is because she forbade bia upon herself, and therefore the neder would be chal. Says the Gemara, v'lo tiskasha v'lo te'aser. So what was the neder she made? If I adorn myself, then the hashemah of the tashma should be aser on me. So don't adorn yourself, and the neder won't be chal. Right, so how can he break it? There's nothing. Don't break it. That she doesn't have to break any. He doesn't have to break any neder. He doesn't have to. The neder shouldn't be chal at all. So don't adorn yourself. Zim kain korlam enough. Then they'll call her a repulsive, disgusting woman. And when they call her that, Rashi says, look at Rashi, when she's embarrassed that way, when they shame her, she'll adorn herself. Then the netter's chal, because she said, if I adorn myself, then the hana of your tashmi should be also me. So here Rashi says, but we're going according to Ma'ad Amar holds that Dvar Shebein Na, you can't break. The answer is there's different kinds of Dvar Shebein Na. If it's something like, he says, listen, I'm not going to clean myself up. I'm not going to, make myself attractive. You can live with her even though she's not so attractive. But if she forbids all kinds of bia, she prevented herself from having bia with him. That's a lebeina lebeina that everybody has to hold up. Says Mara. So what's the problem though? Okay, what's the problem? That if she adorns herself, she will be also to have bia with him. So what? But why do you say in our mission in a case like that he has to divorce her right away? Right? If he divorces her right away. Okay, Rabbi Yossi said by an anios, if it's a poor girl, Rabbi Yossi says, only if it's it was an indefinite period of time. By a Shiur, fine. But okay, let's say it was according to Shmuel, he didn't mention any time at all, and there's no time that's it. If he just said indefinitely, he divorces her right away. Why don't you give him a week or two? As we said before, listen to this. Right, let her adore herself, and she'll be also to him. We had before that Beisil said if he forbids bia with her for a week, he can manage, right? More than a week, maybe you'll find the Pesach in the time period. Maybe you'll know the netter. But the Beishamai 2 weeks, he learns it out from Yoletus Nekeva. Beisil learns it out from Nida. But so give him a week. Why do you say you divorce right away? That's if he made the netter. Why? The Sabra Mirsach Rasachalai. If he made a netter, she figures like this. Okay, he's angry now, he's upset. Hashta of that, they give me a week or two. We normally wait a week or two anyway. There are many times in the marriage when you're not allowed to have bia because she's a nida or she gave birth. Fine, we can wait a week or two, he'll calm down. And maybe he'll annul the netter. He'll go to a Tam Chacham, the Nedra, but over here where she made the netter, the Shasikla, and he was quiet, he confirmed it. Sabra Midishtik, since he was quiet, Mesnu to something, he hates me. If he made the netter, like I said before, so he got in a fit of anger, fine, let him calm down. Give him a week or two, he'll calm down. His libido will get better of him, and he'll go to the Talmud Chacham. But if she made the netter and he calmly confirmed it, she figures he must hate me, and therefore you give a get right away. You don't give a week or two. Pardon?
Like she's giving him a
well, she did it angry. She's angry at him, and he says, "Yeah, that's it. I've had enough." Rabbi says if she forbade her the adornment, and we explain now the adornment, and she made it dependent on bia. Because if I have adornment, then the hana of the bia is also on me. Rabbi says if she's poor, that's only if she didn't give a fixed time. And if she gave a fixed time, okay, a fixed time you can manage. How much is that fixed time? Become a kitzvah. In other words, if she said for a year. And if I have any adornment within a year, then the bia should be also to me. So up to a year, you can manage. What's shot in that? Because she can manage without adornment for a year. The netter's not chal, right? It's not only chal. If she has adornment, then the bia is also. But 12 months you can manage. Even 10 years. Rav Chistam, Rabim Regel. One third of a year, let's say, until the next regal. She came, but also regal. That's usually when they're mekashes. So until the regal, she can manage, right? Even if she's poor. But by a rich girl who's used to an adornment and perfume, only up until 30 days. If it's more than 30 days, even Rabbi Yossi says you have to give a get at that point. Why 30 days? Because the perfume, a chashuva woman, when she perfumes herself, that's good for, they didn't bathe every day those days, right? They didn't shower. So it was good for about 30 days. So until 30 days, she can manage, but more than 30 days, she can't manage. And therefore you break the netter right away. According to Rav, you break it if you mention 30 days. According to Shmuel, you give her the 30 days because according to Shmuel, you don't have to mention the time. So there's two ways to learn this Mishnah. Either again, she made a netter that she's angry with her parents, and she made a netter that her parents' house is also to her, or any I know that she's going to have her parents, she can't go to her father's house at all. Or he made a netter, and again, he made it dependent on something of him. And as if you go to your father's house, then none of your bia is also to me. It's did in a way that the netter would be chal. Either she made it and he confirmed it, or she made the netter. But in any case, the netter was that she can't go to her father's house. So if the father lived with her in the same time, chodesh echad, give him 1 month. Again, the way Rav learns, it's only if you listed a month. If you listed a month, it's okay. If you didn't list a month, you got a divorce right away. According to Shmuel, the way we hold, you give him up to a month. Up to a month, you give him a month to get rid of the netter. And again, we're going to the idea that even after he confirmed the netter can be broken by a Talmud Chacham, could be annulled by a Talmud Chacham. So chodesh echad. So chodesh echad yikayim. If it's up to a month, you let it. You stay with that. You can manage without going to her father's house for a month. Shnayim, but if it's more than a month, it's into the second month. Then yotzi eating ksuba. You got to give a ksuba because that's something that's not bearable. A woman wants to visit her parents, and therefore that's not bearable. Let's say the father lives in another town where they don't visit as often. So regel echad yikayim for 1 month, for one regel until one regel. They usually go to the parents, for Yontif, for Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. So regular time shlosh, if it's 3 months, 3 regalim yotzi. So the kasha obviously is what about 2 months, right? What about 2 regalim? 1 regel yikayim. More than that, if it's more than 1 regel, you have to give her a get and give her a divorce. Again, the yotzi beating suba, the idea if he confirmed her netter, we're going to the idea that it's his fault. Shloshi yotzi, but if it's 3 regalim, then yotzi. So what about 2? The Gemara will ask that. The yotzi beating suba. Let's say he made a netter in a way that would be chal, that she can't go to a mourning house or a base mishta or to a wedding, simcha. Again, Yosef being subnation, because he's locking her out of all social interaction, which you'll see is unbearable. If he said because of some immorality, I don't want you to go to those places, then Rishoy, that's different. Let's say he said, I'll break the netter on the condition that you tell this person over there this shameful items. We'll see a shameful item that you told me, something that was either a secret, something that was improper. And he says, I'll break it. I'm going to ask that you go and you open your mouth and you say something that's embarrassing. Or that she should fill up the jugs and throw it into the garbage, like do something and make her look stupid. Or some interpret this to mean that after Bia, that she empties herself out in order not to have children. Umara la'ashpa means like throws that into the garbage. Again, yotzvi, those are things which are these things are considered unbearable and affect their marriage too, presumably, right? Because if you hold that it's something like affliction, it's like affliction. You can't have any social interaction, can't visit your parents. That's not so much beina lebeina, but it makes her afflicted. You said if it's for one, you said in a case where if the father lives in another city, her parents live in another city, if the netter was I don't want you to go until the next yontif, I don't want you to go there, that you can manage. But if it was for 2 yomim tovim, then he's got to he's got to divorce and give her ksuba. Aim is safe. Then it says shlosh. If it's 3 regalim, then yotzvi ksuba. Smash mahashnayim mikayim. So what this seems to be a steer in the Mishnah. Rabbiya, Seifa also the Kahanas. The Seifa is speaking about where she's a Kahanas, meaning the first case is speaking about where she is married to a Yisrael. Kahanas means she's married to a Kohen, so he can't take her back if he divorces her. First case is speaking married to Yisrael. So Yisrael, you say, listen, if he forbade her from going to her father's house for 1 regel, that's okay, that's livable. More than 1, if it's 2 regalim, he has to divorce her and give her the ksuba. The Sefer, we talk about 3, we mean if he's married to a Kohen. So by a Kohen, we're a little bit more lax, or not lax, we're a little bit more liberal, let's say, and we allow, lenient is a better word, we're more lenient, and we say up to 2 regalim for better, don't divorce her yet, because if you divorce her and then you change your mind, you want to get back together, you can't because he's a Kohen. But if it's 3 regalim, even by a Kohen, you have to even by a girl married to a Kohen, you have to divorce her and give her the ksuba. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehudi. So it goes like Rabbi Yehuda, who made that difference. Man, in the first mission of the parak, he made that difference between, that is the mission of the parak, the first mission of the parak, made the difference between a kahanas and a not kahanas. Remember, the Tanakama said, give her 30 days. Rabbi Yehuda said, Yisrael, you give 1 month. Or if you're married to a Kohen, give her 2 months, because you allow more, you're more lenient in case he wants to remarry her. So it goes like, so we could say this mission goes according to Rabbi Yehuda, and that's what we mean by 3 regalim. 3 regalim means by a kahanas, you don't make him divorce unless if she's married to a Kohen, unless the netter was for 3 regalim. Is she anxious to go to her parents? Some women don't like to visit parents. Is she anxious to go to her parents' house, or is she not anxious to go to her parents? If she normally likes to run to her parents' house, So, and you don't allow her for 2 regalim, then you give her right away. But if she doesn't normally go, then you allow 3 because she doesn't go that much often. She's not that anxious to go anyway. So the pasuk now quotes things about a woman who say go to her parents' house. Then I will be in his eyes like somebody who sought peace. It's like a young girl, a bride who was she got married, her husband consummated with her, and now she's living in her husband's house with her in-laws, and they like her and they approve of her. And she's anxious, and she likes to go back, tell her parents how she's accepted in her house. She's very proud of herself, and that's what we mean. I'll be in his eyes like somebody who found peace, meaning I'll be happy with my situation, because now that I've been accepted as a bride by the new family, by my husband's family, I want to go back and report that to my parents. On that day, Hashem will say, Tikra Ishi, you'll be called my husband, below Tikra Bali, and you won't be called my master anymore. In modern Hebrew, they call that Baali or Ben Zugi, but the Ishi is more of a lashon of one who's been consummated, somebody who's been married already, and Baali is just somebody who had betrothal, where the husband he's technically it's her Baal, it's her master, and she's not allowed to be with anybody else, etc. But she's not yet fully her husband. It's like a kala in her father-in-law's house, meaning she's been fully married. Then you'll be called Ishi. Then you'll be called my husband. Or I will be called you will Vikri. You will call Ishi. You will call me my husband. Below kakala beisavia, not like kakala in her father's house, meaning before marriage when it was just betrothal. And there she's simply called Baali. She's not called Ishi. Hamada Resistro. So the Mishnah said, if he forbade her from going to a base Mishnah or a base Avel, then you divorce her right away, right? Yotzvigin Suba, because he's cutting her off from all social interaction. So the Gemara says, Bishlam base Mishnah, I understand, because she can't partake and she can't have any social life, mixing with other people. On the base Avel, my noble for now, what is he locking her out of? What's the problem over here? So my noble for now, what's he locking her out? She can't go to a base Avel. Okay, so she won't be Menachem Avel. What's the big deal? She's Tana Lamacha the next day or later on. He makes when she dies, then call bury herself, and nobody will eulogize her. If she doesn't eulogize and take part in other people's mourning, nobody will eulogize her. But some say call bury Sofna. Nobody will even bury her. Just like she didn't take place, she didn't go to the funeral, etc. Nobody will want to bury her. Tanya Rav Meir Omer. Minus the pasuk says Tov lechas base. Better to go to a house of mourning. Lechas base mishta ba'asher hu sof kol adam, because everybody's going to wind up dead. So you might as well. You should go visit. Better to go to a base Ovel than go to a base mishta. A base mishta. So you'll take it. The Pashtuns, you'll take it more seriously, because we're all going to wind up that way. So understand what it is. Right? First, smart person, a person will take it seriously. We'll understand. What do we understand when you go to base? What do you understand? Dvarim shamisa. You'll understand what it means when it dies. The safad yispanu, a person who eulogizes others, he will be eulogized. The cover yikbura, person who buries other people, they will bury him. The yadol yadlanuya. This lashon is yadol, as Rash says, he'll cry out in the spade. He'll cry out in calling. I wonder if the word yodel comes from there. If you yodel for them, they will yodel for you, right? I don't know. Doubt it. Okay. The Levi Yilavune, right? Where does it come from? The word. The Levi Yilavune, if he accompanies, escorts others, in other words, escorts others to the basic forest, he will also be escorted to Tanya. If he's a pallbearer and carries the mace, they will carry him too. So you have to understand those things. All right, we'll pick up here tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. Pick it up from the 2 dots. Have a good day, everybody.
Why doesn't it say based on? Why is it the more comes on to people won't be come to be muscular? Right. He's stopping her from going to her cousin's
funeral.
Shiva.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
You have to come on. They won't do for.
That's
a terrible.
No, that's why that's what the Gemara. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying. That if
other people will, if she can't.
And they're right, and therefore that's inu nefesh. That's exactly inu nefesh. Right. Knowing that she can't partake with them will also that's the problem. What's the problem?
It's not inu nefesh not to be able to go to your first cousin.
Yeah, that's right. That's inu nefesh.
More says
because
people.
Yeah, that too. People won't reciprocate that too, but it means other people. It doesn't just mean your first cousin. It means all kinds of people.